or a particular modality, then we're entering into territory where someone has a curriculum, someone has a methodology, someone has a particular approach, and it might be very specialist, it might be very niche, and it's a whole other layer of being mindful, I think, in the role of a facilitator, to keep checking yourself and to keep asking, if I am presenting information and I'm sharing tools and resources, however well intentioned that is, if the kind of the goals or the outcomes are related to empowerment and increased confidence and supporting individuals to kind of realize their potential, that isn't enough, I think, is what I'm saying. There needs to be some additional reflection, and I'm going to say peer supervision as well as like a really helpful tool, but to keep us as practitioners on our toes. Also community as well, the peer support piece around sharing with other people that are in similar or parallel disciplines, because it is, even though we're kind of instinctively putting ourselves in the shoes of the learner, we can't fully do that, especially at the moment that we are holding space. So without feedback, without having that reflexive practice, without having opportunities for other people to really let us know when a space feels less like an invitation and more like a kind of, I'm going to say a dictation, but that there's a script that's stuck to, and that's it, and you're the knowledge holder and the gatekeeper and the one that's ultimately holding power. I think it's very, very easy to meander into this territory, and it can happen in such a subtle way, that we do need to actually build things into our practice and into the way that we are actually reaching out to clients and students and including them in the conversation and the discussion around, how can the facilitation be improved? How can the resources be improved? How can the space holding be more supportive? And yeah, it that takes more resource, it takes more time, effort, energy, but I think it's so worth it. I attended a training the other day, and there were slides in a PowerPoint. There was a facilitator with lecturing experience who delivered the session. But there was, at no point did I feel like there was it was so inclusive, it was so warm and friendly and accessible. There were reflection points, there were opportunities for discussion as a group, there were group exercises, all of these things that kind of, they built in space for the learners to be participants, active participants, engaging, contributing, feeling like they're actually part of the conversation and actually that they're valued as well. And And this all sounds so obvious in a way because I'm hearing myself saying this, and I'm like, yeah, these are all like on paper obvious things, but in practice, um, I think yeah, it's an additional effort to make sure that we don't stray into that territory. And obviously, I'm speaking specifically to vocal work and voice work because of how vulnerable it can be, and because on the outset, the problem solving exercise might be related to a creative activity, but then depending on the tools and framework that you're using, it transpires that actually what you're doing is supporting that person to explore and navigate nervous system work, and working on the body and exploring other avenues to kind of help facilitate in a roundabout way what that original entry point was. And I think that's why I really like the word guide, a support or a guide, because it definitely implies the quality of experience, but it's also speaking to the fact that this person is walking alongside and beside you, and that they're there to support and enable and facilitate and maybe signpost, and that the reference points that they provide, it is sort of insinuated that because they have traversed that territory before, that also gives them insight from the learner perspective as to where there might be spaces that are kind of more vulnerable, that do require a bit more support, and that actually those moments are the moments to be particularly careful around, to ensure that there's still this sense of autonomy, and that there's still this opportunity for collaboration and dialogue, even if someone is actually communicating, I'm in territory I've never been in before, and this is totally unfamiliar to me, and I don't really feel like I'm in my zone of genius or whatever. That actually, from a facilitation point of view, that is such a humbling thing to be given permission to witness that, and to hold that and actually be with a person in that uncertainty. And maybe there are then tools that can be offered to support that exploration and provide anchor points, but that it's always a dialogue and a collaboration. And I'm also reflecting on that, just pulling in the thread of like space holding quality that I've experienced in a therapeutic container. And the best experiences have always been those where I'm being given space to communicate my needs and to to articulate them. And there's something so important in being able to say I'm unsure, or so that that can actually be heard and acknowledged, and recognized, witnessed, before there is this kind of like slamming the book down and being like, here's the solution, because it might not be the solution. It's a co-creation process. So yeah, those are thoughts for today. And I'd love to hear if you have any particular experiences from a learner point of view where you've, yeah, just felt like the environment created and the support created was really beneficial, anything that stands out for you back from school days, equally any experiences that were challenging or that are kind of still stuck in your mind as being kind of um, lessons of a dictatorship rather than a play space. I'm sure we've all got a few recollections of that one teacher maybe that we didn't get along with so well. So I'd love to hear. Let me know. This is a subject that is very close to my heart, and yes, no facilitator is perfect, and it's all a work in progress. So hopefully we can come to every day and treat it like a school day, and there's always something to learn and something to humble us.